Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about Tomorrow by Together's Nap of a Star, focusing on the themes and symbolism portrayed on screen, as well as on the influences that inspired the style of the video. Nap of a Star is a song whose music video tells an imaginative tale of friendship and acceptance set in a fairy tale-like setting. The plot of the story has been already foreshadowed in the VCR of the group's debut. In that video, a boy suddenly grows horns on his head and runs away in fear of becoming a monster. While he is alone and surrounded by the shadows, he meets a boy with wings who tells him that his horns are beautiful, and the two, recognizing one another, become friends. In Nap of a Star, the concept anticipated in the VCR is developed into a full narrative. The themes of friendship, acceptance and change are prevalent here, and the symbolism used in the video contributes to the development of this concept through style and imagery. In Chapter 1, we see the 5 members playing around under the protective light of a star. The boys all have masks on their heads, and their disguises are styled in a way that foreshadow the physical transformations they'll go through later on. The Korean intertitles that appear on screen tell us that the boys and the star made a promise. In case they ever got separated, they would meet again there, but as time passed, the boys took separate ways and the star fell asleep, thus depriving the night sky of its starlight and making people forget about their dream. In Chapter 2, the story continues by focusing on Yeonjun, who wakes up in his bedroom and discovers that a set of horns grew on his head. The horns here resemble the antlers of a deer, an animal that symbolizes strength, kindness, rebirth, and longevity. The reference to the deer imagery is important here because in many ancient cultures the animal was employed in ritual sacrifices, thus making it a symbol of innocence and victimhood. The deer, who is strong and fierce, is turned into a victim despite its gentle nature, which is something that closely resembles the storyline revolving around Yeonjun, who is horrified by his transformation and runs away in fear like a hunted prey. The boy leaves home and takes shelter in the woods, a place that is scary, dangerous and inhospitable. While Yeonjun explores, we see snakes, spiders, moths and a raven, all animals that have strong symbolic significance. The spider, for instance, represents mystery and growth. Because of its ability to weave nets, the animal also embodies the idea that we are the ones who weave our own destiny, which is an essential concept in the narrative we are presented in the video. Yeonjun is going on a journey here, a quest to find his identity and accept himself that forces him to go through the darkness in order to find the light. His transformation is not just physical but spiritual, and the animals that surround him symbolize this metamorphosis. The snake, for example, who is a creature that periodically sheds skin, represents rebirth, healing and transformation, an idea embodied by the moths as well, who are animals that also symbolize the balance between darkness and light. The raven, on the other hand, is an animal linked to transformation and prophecy. In Native American and Siberian folklore, the raven is a trickster and a shapeshifter, a creature able to change its appearance at will, but in other cultures the animal is considered a divine messenger in the mortal world. We see this in Irish mythology with the Morrigan, who foretells dooming war, and in ancient Greece, where it was an animal sacred to Apollo, the god of the sun and prophecy. In the music video, the raven is depicted looming over a skeleton with its head turned in the direction Yeonjun is headed. This is important because its presence foreshadows what happens next. Just a few seconds later, in the background we see a dark hooded figure looking at Yeonjun from a distance. This is the same entity that appears flying on a broom the moment the star falls asleep, and could signify several things at once. On a more general level, the creature could be a symbol of danger, an entity that personifies death, which represents the perils Yeonjun has to go through in order to get to his destination. If we consider it in the light of the imagery associated with it, however, the creature could also be a witch, which is something that would explain quite a lot of what happens in the video. At this point, we still don't know how the overall story will unfold, so it's impossible to conclude whether the entity is to blame for the boy's metamorphosis or not, but the broom and the black cat may indicate that something supernatural is going on. Witches are usually portrayed flying on a broom and are often associated with black cats, a symbol of magic, mystery, and power. Some traditions tell us that witches have the power to shapeshift into their animal familials, and many cultures consider animals with heterochromia, that is, animals with different colored eyes, as a sign of witchery. So, is the hooded figure a witch? Well, we don't know for sure, not yet at least. What we do know, however, is that Yeonjun is not the only one who is going through a transformation. Subin, for instance, is displayed with pointed elf-like ears. He is surrounded by bats, animals known for their great hearing, which symbolize both death and rebirth. In modern times, the bat imagery is also associated with protection, which is something that the group has already hinted at without us even realizing. After Subin, we see Taehyun, who has a star in his eye and an owl by his side, symbol of ancient wisdom and magic. The meaning of the star in the eye is a bit obscure, but the five-pointed star is generally considered a symbol of protection against evil and a sign of good fortune. Next we see Bumgyu hiding underground with spines coming out of his shoulder. The spines here recall the spines of a hedgehog, which is an animal that symbolizes protection and calmness. Last but not least, we have Yunin Kai, the boy with wings anticipated in the debut VCR. In Nap of a Star, we see that he has mechanical angel wings coming out of his back, and this could represent love, protection, healing, and faith. As you can see, the four boys' metamorphoses are all associated in one way or another to the concept of protection, which is something that comes to fruition by the end of the video. In chapter 4, Yeonjun is attacked by the cat and runs away. In a moment of desperation, the boy mutilates himself by ripping one of his horns off of his head. This is a very powerful scene, and I think that the way the video portrayed self-harm is very thoughtful and respectful. The blue and red trees that surround Yeonjun while he is hurting himself strongly recall the shape of blood vessels, while the blood we see pouring from the wound turns into thorns, perfectly symbolizing the physical and mental pain the boy is experiencing. Like anticipated in the VCR video, Yeonjun, the boy with horns, is eventually saved by the arrival of Yunin Kai, the boy with wings, followed by Subin, Bumgyu, and Taehyun, who wrap Yeonjun in a protective hug. With the five finally reunited, the star awakes with the promise that something magical is about to happen, but to discover what's in store, we'll have to wait and see. What we can tell by watching this video is that the overall narrative is headed in a direction that will see the themes of transformation, friendship, acceptance, and protection as central plot points. This was already anticipated in Crown and Cats and Dogs. In both songs, the themes I just mentioned are as prevalent as they are in Nap of a Star, and the focus on shape-shifting and animal imagery is meant to highlight the beauty of being unique and the importance of being surrounded by loyal and accepting people. In Nap of a Star, the main conflict is caused by change, by a transformation that happens unexpectedly and leaves the boys lost and isolated. Their diversity makes them look strange in the eyes of society, so they run away in fear because their uniqueness is scary. At the beginning of the video, when they are playing around with their masks on their heads, these changes are foreshadowed by the disguises they are wearing, and this makes me think that their eventual metamorphosis is meant to show their true selves, something they used to empower them during childhood but becomes an isolating factor when they become adults. As we've seen time and time again, BigHit here is giving us an important lesson. The perception of who you are is heavily influenced by those around you. If you are surrounded by friends that accept your uniqueness and embrace their own, your diversity can empower you and make you feel beautiful. If on the other hand you are surrounded by people who are judgmental and close-minded, or even worse, if you isolate yourself from the world, fear and loneliness will make you look like a monster in your own eyes. Change here is portrayed as something unavoidable and scary, and it is, but it's not always negative. Change makes you learn and makes you grow. It makes you stronger and it brings you closer to those you love. In the video, the star wakes up when the boys reunite because together they can create something magical. By finding each other again, by accepting themselves in their strangeness, they remember their dream. Together, they look at tomorrow. The themes of change, magic and transformation are also conveyed in the style in which the video was shot, which strongly recalled the silent cinema era, and more specifically A Trip to the Moon, a movie by Georges Méliès, one of the pioneers of modern cinema. Born in Paris in 1861, Méliès was an illusionist and magician who was famous for his creativity and imagination. After attending a private demonstration of the Lumière brothers' cinematographer, Méliès understood the incredible potential of the invention and proceeded to create over 500 movies between 1896 and 1913. The Lumière brothers saw the cinematographer as a mere scientific curiosity, devoid of any artistic value, but Méliès saw it as a medium of experimentation and wonder. Because of his stage experience and his imaginative approach to reality, Méliès drew inspiration from theater and photography and invented many techniques that are used in cinema to this day. Just to name a few, his contribution to cinema gave us multiple exposure, superimposition and lap dissolve, while his use of masks, stage traps and circus acrobats helped paving the way in areas as diverse as makeup, practical effects and stunt work. Méliès' most famous film is probably A Trip to the Moon, a movie released in 1902 about a group of astronomers who lands on the moon and is taken prisoner by a group of Selenites, the inhabitants of the moon. Using the techniques I mentioned earlier, Méliès managed to create a tale full of wonder and emotion, and in Nap of a Star we see many callbacks to this classic picture. The title card of the music video, for instance, is an almost exact replica of the one we find in A Trip to the Moon, and throughout the video we see quite a few nods to Méliès' film as well. The shot where Taehyun looks through the monocle, for example, recalls the iconic shot of the astronomers crash landing on the face of the moon. The scene where Soobin is experimenting with the umbrella reminds of the scene from the movie where the astronomers explore the moon and their umbrella turns into a mushroom. The shot of Bongyu sleeping underground instead features an hiding place that looks very similar to the cave the astronomers visit. The style and the imagery Nap of a Star borrowed from A Trip to the Moon further emphasize the theme of change and transformation. Silent cinema represents a point of no return for our civilization because it changed the way we look at reality and entertainment. Now we are used to cinema, now we see it as normal, but try to imagine living in a world where for the first time ever photos started to move by themselves, where stories unfolded in front of your eyes and things appeared and disappeared at will. From a world grounded in the everyday life, people like Georges Méliès brought to life your wildest dreams and turned them into a reality. He created magic by taking advantage of change, like the boys did in Nap of a Star. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did or have any requests for future videos, please let me know in the comments down below. If you have time, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!